It's no secret that the Holocaust of Nazi Germany was the tragic killing of over 6 million people simply because they were Jews or otherwise undesirable to Adolf Hitler and the Nazis. But what makes it a genocide goes way beyond the death toll and the basis on which civilians were imprisoned and killed. Like any act of genocide, there were many small, slow steps that led to the suffering and body count of the Holocaust. These small steps are called the 10 stages of genocide, a theory created by the Genocide Watch's founding president, Gregory Stanton. Despite them being listed as stages, this process is not always linear, and the stages listed often occur 2 or 3 at a time. Today, I'm going to use this model to explain how the Holocaust started and how it slowly led to a mass murder. But before I start, I want to give a warm welcome to anyone who's new to my channel. Here at From Laura's Perspective, I post a new video essay on one of a wide array of topics at least once a week. To get your own card to my video essay library, simply hit that subscribe button. But don't just hit subscribe. Also tap the bell icon so you always know when I've posted an essay on something you might want to learn more about. So where did the Holocaust begin? It all started by classifying the groups of people within the society. The systematic killing of an entire group of people all starts when people are categorized according to their ethnicity, religion, or national origin. This sets a very clear us versus them mentality that makes the next steps of the genocide a little easier to carry out. In Nazi Germany, people were originally divided into Jews and Aryans or Germans. There's actually an exhibit in the National Holocaust Museum in which I learned that there were tools against which German citizens were measured to determine whether they were a German or Jew based on their facial features and bodily proportions. In addition, Hitler eventually made a list of undesirables, or categories of people he felt were a threat to the welfare of the German state. These included the Romani or Gypsies, Roman Catholics, persons with physical and mental disabilities, and persons who are referred to today as LGBTQ, among others. Once groups are classified, their distinction is then made clear through systematic means in the next step. After the groups within the society are made clear, the group that's being targeted is then distinctly branded in some way. During or after the classification of groups within a culture, groups that are considered inferior are given visual symbols to help others identify them. At this point in the Holocaust, Jews were made to wear a yellow Star of David so that everyone in Nazi Germany knew that they were Jewish. Moreover, those citizens of Nazi Germany who would be known today as LGBT were forced to wear a purple triangle so everyone knew that they were a homosexual. Today, that purple triangle has been reclaimed by the LGBT community as a symbol of pride and equality. My next video will actually be on an LGBT topic, but I'm not going to tell you what it is because you have to see it for yourself if you want to find out. After that, the target group is then discriminated against. When or after the group being targeted in a genocide is defined and its members identified, laws are enforced that grant fewer rights to that group than to the dominant one. In 1935, the passing of the Nuremberg Laws declared that Jews were not citizens of Germany. These laws also made it illegal for Jews to work certain jobs or marry non-Jews, among other things. This only gets worse, and attempts are made to further justify it in the next step. The first 3 steps make possible the next step, dehumanization. Now that the people being targeted are seen as less valuable human beings, their status as human beings itself is taken away as well. The entire group is likened to a harmful organism or substance, such as insects, rodents, or parasites. This really gets the process of the genocide going by convincing the dominant group that the target group is a threat and a burden to a functioning society and must be eliminated. That's what Hitler and the Nazis did in Nazi Germany by insisting that the Jews were vermin and needed to be wiped out. Moreover, they told everyone that gay people were worthless due to their inability to reproduce, that people with disabilities could not contribute anything of value and were instead a burden on everyone who needed to take care of them, and spread similar sentiments about others of Hitler's undesirables. Now that prejudices have been established against the target group, it's time to start planning their killing. No one ever randomly decides, hey, let's go commit a genocide, then does it all in one go. All genocides are thoroughly planned, and in its fifth stage, armies and militias start training and getting ready to kill the group of people they'd previously decided on. Moreover, these militias work to enforce the prejudice and discrimination that have already been formed against their target group. The most obvious example of this in the Holocaust is the formation and training of Nazi soldiers. But this stage also included the introduction of the Gestapo to enforce Nuremberg laws and other systematic mistreatment of the Jews. Stage 6 is polarization, or widening the divide between the dominant group and target group. The polarization stage of genocide involves widespread propaganda against the group being targeted, which makes already established prejudices even more intense. Polarization is another word for separation or differentiation, a fitting term for a stage of genocide in which the dominant group and target group are systematically kept apart from each other. This was the stage in which Jews were forced to live in ghettos apart from non-Jews. The living conditions were miserable, people were put on starvation diets, and slave labor was the only means of survival. This stage is also when the Nazi Party began talking about plans for ethnic purification, a final solution to the Jewish problem in Europe. Next, they start to get ready to carry out the murder. When I say that the seventh stage of genocide is preparation, I say that they're preparing for the final solution I just referred to. The intention to kill the target group is made clear, but attempts to justify it by degrading them in the public eye team up with euphemisms to cloak the killer's intentions. At this point in the Holocaust, Hitler and the Nazis referred to what they were doing as counterterrorism and used phrases like, if we don't kill them, they'll kill us. There's still one more thing that needs to be done before the actual killing, and that's stage 8, persecution. At the eve of the killing of the target group, members of the group are evicted from their homes, separated from their families, and cut off from their local community. Their personal possessions, particularly their jewelry, are confiscated, and they're deported to a facility where their killing is scheduled to take place. In the Holocaust, these facilities were the famous and infamous concentration camps, such as Auschwitz and Treblinka. They were called concentration camps because their purpose was to concentrate the Jews the Nazis intended to kill into one place. Finally, we get to the actual killing, known as the stage of extermination. Hence its name, extermination is the actual act of killing the group that had been targeted from the beginning. The name itself is actually a euphemism used by those who carry it out to make it seem like the victims are vermin rather than human. In the Holocaust, this stage took the form of the gas chambers into which the Jews at the camps were lured, to which they succumbed and died. But the killing isn't the last stage of genocide. In fact, it's because of this one final step that Stage 9 is the only thing future generations actually remember or even learn about as far as the genocide goes. So after the killing is done, they carry out the final step of denial. If the perpetrators of a genocide really want the genocide to take its full effect, they can't let anyone think that they've done any wrong. To remain in power and protect their reputation, they hide and destroy evidence of the genocide and/or convince people that the genocide was the victim's fault. This usually consists of digging up the mass graves, burning the bodies, and threatening any witnesses if they reveal what they saw. Even today, people deny that the Holocaust ever happened, and there have even been attempts to ban novels and memoirs about the Holocaust within the past 2 years alone. Thank you all so much for watching. It's never easy to talk about the Holocaust or any genocide, but it's an obligation I felt I had as a writer and a YouTuber. The hardest part about making this video was putting myself into the sick, sadistic minds of not only the people who carried out the genocide, but the civilians who were convinced it was what needed to be done. But to do otherwise would only further perpetuate the 10th stage of denial. One of my strengths as a content creator is that I'm really good at making video essays on difficult and taboo topics like this one. You can find more of them by clicking one of the links on your screen, or even just by checking out my library of a channel. With the versatility of my essays, you're bound to find a category or playlist that's meant for you. So if you don't subscribe, you're really missing out.